Shaltari light shipped sprue. For the Shaltari small ship sprue, the two glass that come on here are single piece, so those are nice and simple. And the same goes for the heliums. So each sprue you get 2 glass and 2 helium. For the cutters, you can either do a cesium or a gallium, and they are simple enough because of the notch to just place on there, or even add a tiny magnet, and that shouldn't be a problem. So I will probably magnetize this. It'll also be a little bit easier to paint because it'll be 2 separate pieces. So yeah, I'll probably run it as a gallium more likely than the cesium, but having that option is nice, and it's just a single magnet through here. For the monitor over here, you can either build it with a silicon, a selenium, or a strontium, and this is simple enough to magnetize through the body here, and that would normally be my plan, but being that you only get 4 void gates in a Battlefleet and I need more, I'm going with the selenium to run as an extra gate. And with the same plan, with the 2 different methods that you have to build the destroyer body, I'm going to go with a cobalt home ship to add more options for mothership and drop. You can only build 1 out of the kit. You get 2 of the bodies and extensions. So the other one I'm going to do as an iridium for the other option, because of all of the different things, this seems like the best weapon. I could have done a different destroyer hull or as the Mercury, but the iridium seems like the best idea. So I could have magnetized this as well, but this is also getting a little bit thinner, and it only allows me to add 1 more weapon, because everything else has different connection points where this sits on the model actually changes depending on which build you're doing. So it's not as easy to magnetize. So going with the cobalt and the iridium here, and that's not too many magnets overall. Um, like I said, I could have done this one, but I decided against. And this is a single build. That has 2 options, but I'm just going with this and this. So this is actually the only thing I have to magnetize in the whole selection. For the Shaltari small ship sprue, it was simple to build the 2 glass and 2 helium, being that they're single piece minis. For the monitor, I decided to build the selenium because having another void gate option, although it's slightly worse than having just more void gates right now, it still gives me that option. And until I get more of those void gates, it's going to be probably an important aspect of playing. I decided to magnetize the cutters so I can do the cesium or the gallium. So that gives me the cutter in either build. And then, being that you get the option to build one cobalt from the destroyer body, and then had to choose one more for the destroyers, I decided to build an iridium. I could have tried to magnetize that, but it's such a small connection, and only being able to change out to a chromium, it seemed like it would just be better to go with just building the iridium. So, in the future, I might try to build one of the other, either the silicon or the strontium for the monitor. I will probably magnetize the cutter again. I probably will build another cobalt. And then I don't know if I'll do a mercury or a chromium or an iridium for the second destroyer. But for now, I have a little extra drop, another gate equivalent, and the glass and helium have some interesting play that I want to see how they actually go. I hear that glasses are reasonable for some late damage sniping, but perhaps not really that great point wise right now. But points change. Ships look cool. Subscribe if you haven't so that you don't miss any future videos. I also want to thank my patrons and supporters for making these videos possible. And until next time, I hope you find your bit of bliss.